Hey everybody, this is James here from RK Motors. Today on the vlog, we are going to be talking about 5 tips for classic car ownership because it's a lot different owning something like this versus owning something like this. So we're going to go over a few tips to kind of make your ownership experience a little bit easier.
All right, so you've bought your classic car. It's been stored all winter. You go to start it up for the first car show of the year and click, or even worse, just no sound at all. It's a pretty common problem everybody has, and it comes from a dead battery. We get kind of spoiled with modern cars. We drive them every day and the alternator recharges the battery. Modern cars also don't have the same amount of drain on the battery that older cars do. So if you have your classic and you're storing it, the best thing you can do is put it on a battery tender or a trickle charger. There's many different options for you. They usually range from 1.5 to 3 amps. They can handle 6 volt and 12 volt systems. It's important to identify whether yours is a 6 volt or a 12 volt. 6 volts are more common in much older cars like your 30s and 40s era cars that are original. But most systems you're going to see are 12 volt. To start with your battery tender, we're going to grab our box here. You'll notice that it is currently unplugged. And we will take our little cords. Now you have your positive and negative terminals on here. So you also have the option, if you want to make a quick disconnect that you can permanently attach to the battery. So all you have to do is just plug it up. In this case, we're going to actually hook it up to the battery like normal. So whenever you come to your battery, sometimes it will be marked with positive and negative on the terminals. Sometimes it will have color-coded wires. I don't recommend trusting the color coding because the person who restored it may have not been detail oriented and just used whatever cable was there. So you always want to verify the polarity on the actual battery. All right, so red is your positive terminal. We're going to attach that here, and black is your negative terminal or your ground. We then verify that our battery tender is on the 12 volt setting for a 12 volt battery here. And now that it is safely hooked up, we will plug it up to our extension cord that is plugged into the wall. Another thing to note is most battery tenders will have an indicator to let you know that the battery is actively charging, to let it know whether it is charged. And there is even oftentimes a dead battery, like bad battery indicator, which could also be you missing polarity too. Some will even have a indicator to let you know that you got the polarity backwards, and it will protect you from yourself. With a 1.5 to 3 amp charger, if your battery is completely dead, it will take approximately 24 hours or so, 12 to 24 hours to fully charge your battery. You can safely leave the charger on there for 24 hours, but I would recommend to cycle it on and off, maybe once a week, just to make sure it stays topped off. When it comes to trickle chargers, there's several different options for you. These type of units are probably the most cost effective. They're 1.5 to 3 amps only. They're going to cost you around like $50. There are more advanced units that have a little more options and have a little more power range that you can use for a faster charge. I don't recommend a fast charge unless you really, really need to. You can also get units like this that will work as a fast charger and a jump starter. But again, large range of prices. Another thing to be mindful of when you're going to be storing your car for a long time is the fuel. Fuel does have a shelf life. One way to fight that and to deal with the longer wait times, particularly if you live in a colder climate where your car is going to be sitting in a garage for quite some time, is to make sure to include a fuel stabilizer. This will help to prevent some of the gumming up that happens with the fuel over time. These come with these little measuring things on it, and to use them, you just have to open up the side that has the measuring section on it, and then squeeze to fill up to the desired measurement, which works better if the cap's off, but make sure to read the instructions to know how much stabilizer to add per gallon. This particular one will do 1 ounce per 2.5 gallons, so make sure to make note of how large your fuel tank is, how full it is, and use this accordingly. If you have a carbureted engine, one other thing to be mindful of is that modern fuel has ethanol in it. And ethanol can kind of wreak havoc on carbureted motors. So if it's going to be stored for a while, you can also get some ethanol guard, or ideally try to use non-ethanol fuel, which you can get at some gas stations. All right, so your battery is fully charged, your fuel is stable. One other important thing is to heat cycle your engine. That means that, at least once a month, get in it, start it up, let the engine idle, and get up to temperature, okay? This will allow all the fluids to kind of flow through their pumps to make sure that all the seals get some lubrication and help to kind of maintain everything and prevent drying out and cracking and rotting that can happen if a car sits for a long period of time. One important note is make sure you're doing this in a well-ventilated area. If your car's in a garage, make sure to crack open the garage door, turn on a fan. Nobody wants to be breathing too much carbon monoxide. That'll end poorly for you. So make sure you're being mindful of the safety around that. So that brings me to the next tip, which is cold starting your car. All right, so when you get in your car, if it's carbureted and it hasn't been driven in a while, give your gas 3 pumps, put your key in the ignition, turn it on, and sometimes you'll hear a fuel pump kick on, and then turn the key. This one started right up. We have been running it recently. You'll allow the engine to idle, and you can even give it a little bit of RPMs, not much. You're not trying to over rev the car. You don't want to rev up a car that has been cold. You want to give it time to warm up entirely. So keep an eye on your water temp gauge. You'll often see it range from, in this case, 100 to 250. The 210 mark is about where you want to see it get to. Depending on the engine, that could take a little bit of time. That's where making sure you have a full tank of gas with your stabilizer. This will allow the engine to run, fuel to run through the fuel lines, everything to warm up, and will help the overall health of your car. Another thing to watch is your tire pressure. You want to make sure that your tires are within a safe driving pressure. This little guy right here is going to save you a lot of headaches. People get kind of accustomed to the fact that modern cars will let you know when a tire is low. Older cars don't. So it's important to keep a few of these little tire pressure gauges on you, either on your person or in every single car you have. You can get these for cheap, like a couple bucks. And regularly check your tire pressures. So just put it onto the valve stem, and you'll see what the pressure gauge is at. If your tires are low, make sure to have a pump on hand. This is a larger unit. You can actually buy some kind of pancake-shaped ones at Lowe's, Home Depot, or any kind of auto parts store that are a little bit less expensive. I wouldn't recommend a hand pump. It'll take you forever. These are well worth the investment in your garage, but if the tire is low on pressure, make sure to top it off to the appropriate pressure. You can check the sidewall for pressure information, and many cars actually have the tire information inside the door frame. If they're more modern cars, like this is a little bit newer model, classics, you may want to look up the information for your specific tire manufacturer and for your use case. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tip video. We know a lot of people are getting into the hobby, and we want to make your ownership experience as pleasurable as possible, because owning something classic like this is a little different than owning something like this. And these rules still apply, though. If your car is going to be stored for a long period of time, make sure to be mindful of all the things we just addressed. If this is your first time finding the vlog, be sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what more things you want to see, and we'll see you guys in the next video.